I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the cowboy man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I'm your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Not much. I'm stoked for tonight's show.
It's going to be a good one. I know you've been excited about this one for a while. Got to talk to Chester a little bit backstage, and seemed like a good dude. We're gonna have fun tonight.
Absolutely. He's got his hand in a whole bunch of pots. So I'm thankful that he took this time just to be able to come on and share with us what he does. It's all important. He does some cool things for kids, and I really want to hear about that. So
he definitely seems very, very busy, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's going on with you, ma'am? Anything new, interesting?
No. Well, let me announce it live. I've already put it in Discord, but not everybody's a member, so not everybody sees it. Mr. Tiffany will be in Tennessee with us. I am so excited about that. I have not ever spent the past 25 years a birthday without him, so it tickles me pink that he's going to be there. So.
I didn't even think about that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I told you when you texted me before you even came on tonight and told me, I said, like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have been the same without him. I mean, that's my banana hammock buddy.
I know.
We got to rock the banana hammocks together.
I'm telling you. Just let me know when y'all do that, and I'll go inside.
We both chickened out last year, but hey, this is a new year.
It's 2025, y'all.
All kind of shit happening this year.
I'm telling you.
All right. Let's pay these bills. You know what, too? So we can get to our guest waiting patiently back there. All right, everybody. If you are new to the show tonight, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Before you leave, do us a solid. Hit that subscribe button.
And if you would like to be on with us, you can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com, or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. We are scheduling for April. Every encounter matters, big or small. Just reach out to one of us.
All right, and paranormalworldproductions.com is our website. We would love to have you head over there and check it out. Sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. Check out all of the other shows under the studio's umbrella. Pick you up some merch. All of that cool stuff that you cannot do unless you go to paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions for tonight's guest, which I know you will, please put them in all capital letters for me. I highlight them throughout the show. We ask them the last 10, 12 minutes of the show. We do a rapid fire Q&A. And I would love to have him answer your questions. If you just put them in all capital letters, it helps me to see them.
Absolutely. All right, guys, Manimal Research is the organization that I founded back in 2019. Our website is manimalresearch.org. Miss Chris Blaylock has put that together, and she manages it for us, does an awesome job. We would love to have you check that out. If you would like to become a member of Manimal Research, this is the way to do it. Head over there, hit the contact button. We would love to talk to you about that. Just the cool stuff that we do as an organization. I can't talk a whole lot about it because it's brand new. It literally came in last night. We got a fresh lead from here. It's about 3 hours from me. It's in East Tennessee, but there's a property with some stuff going on, really interesting, and we're going to be heading up and checking that out. So it's awesome that they trusted us to do that. If you are in their shoes or anything like that, if you think you have something going on and you need someone to come and check it out, we would love to be the ones that you trust to do that. And if we're not in your area, we will put you in touch with someone. But we're in like 5 or 6 states now. So we would love to come and help you out. Also, if you'd like to become a member, we do all kind of other stuff, cool campouts and stuff. We got one coming up at the LBL. We just had to cancel one because of the weather, but we rescheduled it for May, I think. So we're making that up. But all of that stuff, if you're interested, we have merch over there as well. I just invite you to head over to manimalresearch.org and check us out, please.
And if you would like to join our little family, it is only $1.99 a month to join up with us. We do members only Discords, members only lives. We say it every week, but I mean, this summer we're going to be in Tennessee at the Bigfoot conference. The night of the conference, if you're a member, you can come out to the cabin and hang out with us and eat a meal. It's just $1.99, and it really helps us tie up all the loose ends because nothing's free, right? So that contribution goes to helping the bills get paid and keeping us on air with awesome guests like we have tonight. And it's just $1.99.
Absolutely. And as she said, nothing is free. Alex Schmidt, best damn $1.99 ever. I agree, buddy. You can't even get a Coke for $2.
Peanuts, man. Peanuts. You can't even get peanuts.
Come on, guys. But anyway, as Tiffany said, nothing's free. I pay for this. The StreamYard, the software that we use to go live to you guys 2-3 times a week, every week. I pay for it. We pay for it. The editing, the thumbnails, everything costs. Mm-hmm. So you guys help us out, and we appreciate it. You are helping us with super stickers, and that's awesome. If that's the way you want to do it, we will not argue with you. We are grateful. But we have started offering you another way. If you look at the bottom of the screen there, you can see the Cash App and the Venmo. The advantages to doing that for us is we don't have to wait a month to get it. It comes to us right away, and we aren't hit with the fees that YouTube takes. They are pretty heavy-handed on their fees. Love YouTube. None of this would be possible. YouTube is making a lot of people a lot of money. People are supporting their families off of YouTube. I love it. They're in business to make money like everyone else, but we need it more than they do at this point. Maybe it'll get to a point where we don't.
Right.
I don't know. We're not there yet. So if you guys would help us out, we would certainly appreciate it. Either Cash App or Venmo. We do have several of you that take advantage of that pretty regularly, and we are eternally grateful.
100%.
All right, Miss Tiffany, tell everybody about our guest backstage?
Well, there is a lot to tell. He was recommended to be by Bristol, this gentleman right here. And he was like, he would be a really good guest for you guys. So I found him on Facebook, friended him, reached out to him, did my best to convince him that I am not a spammer. And he was like, I would love to do the show. So, you know me, I mean, I'm going to look into things, and he has his hand in so much. Like, I'm going to share his links throughout the show, and you will see for yourself all that this man does. And it is all for the greater good. And I'm so glad that he does that. Again, chestermoore.com. That's your best bet at looking at everything he does. He does a lot of great things for the conservationists. He does a lot of great things for children. He loves giraffes. It's not his favorite animal, but I mean, he likes giraffes, y'all. Yeah, I mean, we're just going to bring him out because he has so much to talk about, and I don't want to hem up time.
Yeah, I can tell you're really excited about this one. You don't get like this very often.
No, I'm like,
tonight you are excited about our guest, and I can tell why. He seems like a really good dude. So if you're ready, and I believe you are, we're going to go ahead and bring out Mr. Chester Moore. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, glad to be on the show. It's always an honor and privilege to talk with people who want to use the media for good and good communications. And it'll be fun to talk with you guys tonight about some what we all like, creepy stuff.
Creepy stuff. Yeah.
You are exactly right, sir. We're just going to jump right into it. You got your hands in so many things, but I'm a podcaster. Tiffany is a podcaster. You are a podcaster. Let's start with Dark Outdoors. Tell us about that, how you got your start, and just take off and talk about whatever the hell you want to.
Man, Dark Outdoors is a real passion of mine. It's an award-winning podcast now. It's available on everything from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the major podcasts and platforms. And it's true crime and terrifying encounters in the great outdoors. And my motto is to shine light into the dark outdoors. And like when you listen to the show, my little intro roll I created says the outdoors is a place of enjoyment, peace, and solitude. But sometimes the outdoors experience goes dark. And that can mean a lot of things. That can mean a run-in with criminal elements, a serial killer, maybe a cryptid, a dangerous animal. And we have all of the above on Dark Outdoors. As a matter of fact, I just posted this week's program a couple of hours ago about feral primates in the American South. Some really crazy stuff. But the genesis of it is, I did radio for 25 years. So when I was 25 years old, I started doing a radio show. And I just quit that radio show to do Dark Outdoors because I couldn't do like both. I couldn't do both every single week. It would be impossible to have it'd be impossible to do it like I need to. So I decided to go the Dark Outdoors route because it's growing. But I'd had all these encounters with dangerous people in the outdoors over the years. And one night on the radio show, right before the pandemic, I decided to just not have any particular agenda, just tell this one story of something that happened to me. And I told it. And I said, anybody ever have anything similar? I took calls and I couldn't take all the calls. I had like 30 people call in that night with stories. And that really inspired me to go down the route of what we're doing now. And that original story was me and my dad were in Humboldt County, California in 2002. I had just realized a lifelong dream of cage diving with great white sharks. We went to Willow Creek, to the then new Willow Creek, China Flats, a Bigfoot museum, and hung out. I just bought Generation 3 night goggles. We got on top of this mountain, thought it was a really good area to listen for sounds, and the elk were rutting. So we're just going to hang out. It's going to sound like a symphony of elk tonight. And I got these night goggles, and me and Dad are up there in a little rental SUV. It was called a HHR, if you remember those things.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through my goggles, and all of a sudden there's a light shining back at me. I said, Dad, somebody has and I knew there was like drug trade up there, but there's drug trade here in East Texas, but I didn't know the level up there. And I said, Dad, somebody's got a light down there. And we're in the middle of nowhere. And he goes, I don't see a light. And I went, oh, it's going this way now. And I'm like, there's definitely a light. And he goes, I don't see a light. Then I put the goggles back on and it clicked. Someone down there had night vision goggles with an infrared light that could only be seen through night vision goggles. And I just had that overwhelming feeling of danger. We were told by this local to this location, just go to the top of this mountain, and there's a logging road that forks right and left. To go to the left side, and it looks over a prairie, and that's where we were. And so I said, we got to go. We just threw little stuff we had in the back of that thing. And when I turned the lights on that little SUV, about 3/4 of a mile across into the other road, lights turned on. Somebody down here signaled to someone over there. And when I hit that mountain road, they were maybe 5 seconds behind me. And I had never driven in mountains up until this point in my life. I'm from 14 feet elevation on the Texas coast, right? And I'm gunning it. And these people come up behind me and they're trying to run us off the mountain. You know how like in a mountain, you have like that lane where you can like pass people or pull over or whatever? Well, they got over to that side and were doing this, trying to get us off the mountain. And just the grace of God, we got to the bottom of the mountain, and I'm like, I hope they don't follow where we're going. Only knew one direction, which is the way we were staying, but they got to what was, quote, the highway, which is the middle of nowhere, went the other direction. We went back to where we went. I probably drove 120 on the way back. I would just, if we get pulled over by a cop, I'll tell them, you know. And I called the Forest Service the next morning, and the Forest Service said, oh, you ran into drug runner. That's a really bad area for drug trafficking. I said, you have an elk crossing sign. Could you put like, you know, drug trafficking area or something? I mean, come on. And so that was kind of an introduction to dangerous individuals and things in the outdoors, and kind of was the first thing that happened to me that inspired doing the Dark Outdoors podcast.
Okay.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. What all do you talk about on the Dark Outdoors?
The very first episode was with Stephen Michaud. He wrote Confessions of a Killer. He's the man who sat across from Ted Bundy for 6 months every day and interviewed him.
Wow.
And I knew that Bundy had taken women into a national forest and did his evil deeds out there. So I thought, if I'm going to do typical me, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to go with the big guns first. So if we're going to tackle true crime, we're going to go with the granddaddy evil guy topic to really get people to think about what we're trying to get across here. And
it's hard to argue.
Yeah, man. And it was intense. In the part that stuck with me was really the message I wanted to get out, because, you know, during the pandemic, a lot of people that have never been in the great outdoors started going outdoors and had no clue about a black bear, much less stalkers and criminal elements and things. And I asked him, I said, hey, so let's say Ted were alive now, the age he was then, and I'm going out in the backcountry fly fishing like I like to do, and I come across him trying to like rape a woman or something. I mean, I'm going to do something. You know, if in Texas, I'm going to pull this out and then we're going to have the guy stop. But if it's another state, I might have to beat him with a rod or something, you know. But he goes, I said, what would Ted have done? You knew him. He goes, how tall are you? I said 6 foot. He goes, oh, he'd have ran. He was a wimp. He goes, really? Yeah. He said he hit women with the tire iron.
That pisses me off like you don't know.
He goes, he hit women with a tire iron and drugged them. He goes, however, this is where I get chills to this day. He said, if you were a woman, he would not have been able to contain himself. And chances are he had seen you first and lured you there. And he said, here's the thing, ladies, remember, there are more Teds out there. There are Teds out there today. So after that show, we have this friend of ours, and she's always looking for like arrowheads on like remote roads and some kind of old glass or something. Beautiful woman, always wears Daisy Dukes, blonde woman and by herself. I'm like, we always joke that you are the first scene in an 80s slasher movie. I mean, you're the scene. She called me as soon as she heard that episode. She goes, I'm going to get a concealed handgun license and train and start bringing somebody with me. So that's one aspect of what we talk about. Animal attacks. My number one most downloaded podcast is about feral dogs and the danger feral dogs pose. And I've had several run-ins with feral dogs where I live, and I talked about those. But I had someone had to shoot shoot their way out of some feral dogs. And we had some crazy stories on there that we've investigated. And probably my favorite episode of the early runs was about the Phantom Killer of Texarkana. And from the Town That Dreaded Sundown movie, but the real Moonlight Murderer, the real Phantom Killer. And I actually there were 2 chief suspects to that. And he killed people in like parks and lovers lanes in the woods. There were 2 chief suspects to that. He is the first cousin once removed from the second lead suspect. And he's a clinical psychiatrist and a medical doctor, and wrote a book about his cousin being a high suspect. And we had a fascinating talk about the Phantom Killer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking about the Phantom Killer on the first night of the Falk Monster Festival. That's happening at the end of April in Falk, Arkansas. Check out Falk Monster Festival. And I'm going to be speaking at dinner that night on the Texarkana Phantom, because we're going to be from Falk is 20 miles to Texarkana. And then we'd also talk about strange encounters. I've had my friend Lyle Blackburn on talking about the legend of Augie Creek and the real story behind that. We've had a lot of different stuff on there. And the whole idea is something you probably don't want to encounter in the great outdoors. That's the thing, what you don't want to encounter in the great outdoors. And we also do a part where every episode we talk about a missing person to try to raise awareness to missing people for closing cases. And we also do a defense segment to help people to be empowered to go in the great outdoors. So it's a cool show. It's a lot of fun, and it gets pretty intense sometimes.
So what say you? What's your creepy cryptid encounter?
So this is actually one of the episodes called Screams in the Night. So I had this particular vocalization. Me and my dad were rabbit hunting when I was about 11 years old, 10 or 11, in Newton County, Texas. And it was old school East Texas hunting, had a little headlamp on, which was legal. You can hunt rabbits at night. And my dad had a headlamp. I had a little single shot 410, and my dad had a 12 gauge. And we're going down this creek bottom on my aunt's property, and we hear this thing growling at us. And it is intense. My dad stops, said, "Daddy, what's that?" He goes, "Must be one of Uncle Bill's bulls hung up in the fence." I said, "Let's go help it." He goes, "Nah, I think he'll get out by himself." And we started backing out, and I was like, what in the heck is it? And it was this guttural, intense, crazy growls. And I, my little budding wildlife journalist, even back then, I was pestering my dad for the next week. And he finally says, probably a black bear, because black bears were extirpated from East Texas, but would occasionally come over from a remnant population in central Louisiana. And I bought that until I started working with black bears in college. And I'm like, they don't make any sound like this. But back in 2000, this one's on that show as well. I had went on an investigation with a Bigfoot researcher and Bobby Hamilton, and me and my dad, and we were in 2 hours to the northwest in Polk County, Texas. And we had literally, it's 4:00 in the morning. We had shaken each other's hands, said, "We'll see you next time." Nothing really too much had happened. And then all hell broke loose. And this thing started growling at us. My dad was there with me. My dad grabs me and goes, "This is what we heard at Ann's, his sister's." It was the same exact vocalization. And it was vile. It was intense. And it was a quick couple of minutes there. And I had just dealt with primates. I'd been to Venezuela 8 or 9 months earlier, fishing down there. And I had messed with some howler monkeys. They're up in the trees. And for whatever reason, I decided to growl back at this howler monkey, and it growled back at me. So I growled at this thing. Don't know why. I growled at it, and it stopped. And it growled at me. I did 2 growls. It did 2 growls. I did 3 growls, exact same pattern as the howler monkey. And this thing went into a frenzy and then screamed, like a scream and a growl at the same time. And this thing wanted us to know it was leaving, because you could hear it tearing through and breaking branches on the way out. And that's exactly what the howler monkey did, but it did it through the trees. So my mind connected primate, and it had a howler monkey-esque sound. I had never heard the Sierra sounds at that point from Ron Moorhead, the Sierra sounds. But everybody talks about what's called, if you know those sounds, a samurai chatter. It wasn't that. There's a really guttural growl at one point in there. And that's a part of what we heard. So that was pretty intense.
Well, you opened the door to the Bigfoot topic. You know that we are Bigfoot heavy over here.
Sure.
What's your opinion on Bigfoot? Have you had any personal encounters other than that?
So I just gave the two of them.
And have you had any other encounters, or like what do you think we are dealing with here?
I don't know what we're dealing with. I do believe it's real. That was settled to me that night in Livingston, near Polk County, Texas. I am a wildlife journalist, so I write about things that are, like in Predator. If it bleeds, we can kill it. If it's a real animal, if it's a real living flesh and blood thing, then I deal with it. And I do believe there's a biological critter running around out there. I believe it's real. I don't know what it is. No one knows what it is. There are no Bigfoot experts. They don't exist. And I'm not one of them. There are people who are experts in the lore, but far as the critter, we don't even know if it exists yet. We don't have scientific verification. I do believe it's real. And what I tell people is this: as a wildlife journalist, I say, look, these reports just in North America go back centuries to First Nations people, to early European settlers, to hunters, fishermen, doctors, lawyers, moms, kids. All it takes is one of those reports to be real.
Yeah.
One. And we have a real phenomenon. So for me as a journalist, it's worth pursuing. The problem I have with the Bigfoot thing is not the critter. It's the culture a little bit, only because if you mention Bigfoot, that's all people ever want to talk about. You could say, I just saved an entire forest from being wiped out, and they're like, did you find the Bigfoot there? So that's a little irking sometimes. But it's a fascinating topic, and I've done a lot in it, and I'll be speaking at a couple of conferences this year, and on something a little kind of like Bigfoot adjacent topic. And it's interesting, man. I've had some cool conversations with people, interviews and stuff that were mind blowing. Just people, regular people who didn't want notoriety.
Yeah.
And I'll say this about Bigfoot: I believed reports more when I started looking into it than I do now. And I hate to say that, but the reason is there is so much out there about alleged behavior, et cetera, et cetera. People can back engineer a report. Where I used to get, I was driving down Highway 87 and this thing was kind of slumped over, maybe 7 foot tall and brown, covered in hair, across the road real fast in front of me. Now I get, I heard a whoop and it echoed through the car, and then I saw it run and there was a limb formation, and I smelled the smell. It's like they're trying to convince, some people are trying to convince you of what they saw instead of just saying what happened. So that's kind of a,
you gotta look at all of the AI stuff that's coming out, and all of the
exactly. So I think the Patterson-Gimlin film's real. I think that's a real critter. If it hasn't, why haven't we made 500 better ones since 1967?
Yep.
And another thing about that, I'll give you a Bigfoot nugget if you want to talk about Bigfoot just for a second. So I had Bob Gimlin speak at my Southern Crypto Conference in 2004. Bob flew to Texas, stayed with me for 5 days, took him out in the big thicket, had a great time. There was someone who had some incredible, you got to realize he had never done, I met him at the one conference he had did the year before that he'd done like 2 in 30 years or something. And he kind of disappeared from the scene, and I don't blame him. And someone had done some incredible like blow ups and stuff, like, where you see like the mucus and the little tear and the muscles and all that. And he'd never really seen it that way so much. And we were showing it to him in the hotel room. I look over and Bob's has a tear running down his cheek. I said, "Hey, buddy, you okay? What's going on?" Well, Roger Patterson died in not obscurity, but like, you know, people thought he was a nut. 1971 from lymphoma. And he said, if Roger would have seen it like this and know the public would have seen it like this, he'd have died in peace. You can't fake that moment. Can't fake that moment, you know? So, but that's just a little Chester Moore Bigfoot bonus for having me on talking about, you know, cool stuff. But it's a fascinating topic, and it's just one of many, you know, interesting and enduring mysteries out there.
Well, let me ask you about another enduring mystery, one that is relatively new, especially compared to Bigfoot, and that's the Dogman. Do you have an opinion on it? And I started thinking about it, Chester, because you mentioned you have done a couple episodes on feral dogs, and I have done some episodes on mysterious animal attacks that led to death that were blamed on feral dogs that people question. What do you think about Dogman?
I'll tell you this much. It's hard enough for me to conceptualize that Bigfoot's out there.
That's exactly what I say,
and
Chester. Exactly what I say.
And it's hard enough for me to take that in. I'll leave it at this. The slogan of Dark Outdoors is pray, prepare, and pack heat. I don't think I've ever been around a Dogman if they exist.
Damn, y'all, I think I just heard my new tattoo.
But if they do, maybe pray, prepare, pack heat, and pack some silver bullets. I don't know. Dogman's not my thing. I know a lot of people are interested, and that's cool. It's just not, like I said, I am a wildlife journalist.
Yeah.
And I got news. If there is a werewolf running around out there, okay, which is essentially what people are talking about, maybe not one that shifts from a human to a whatever. They're essentially like a werewolf looking thing. Something that looks like the critter on The Howling. Probably not from just nature. So I don't deal with it. I'll let other people who are more experts in that part of the world deal with Dogman. Like I said, but if it tried to break in my camp, it would have the same welcome that a psycho would.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was going to say. Well, let's get into, and I was trying to find, yes, here it is. Troy wants to hear about the Kingdom Zoo Wildlife Center and Wild Wishes.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad someone asked about that. So
yeah,
I love wildlife. I'm a professional wildlife journalist. I've been doing it since I was 19. Very blessed. But my heart is me and my wife Lisa's mission, and that is to bring the love of Christ to hurting children through wildlife encounters. So we have I'm here right now at the Kingdom Zoo Wildlife Center. We have a little zoologic facility, and the public isn't allowed to come. We don't open the gates. People can't charge unless you want to make a gigantic freaking donation. We can use that. But other than that, we don't open to the public. It's only for kids going through hell. We work with kids with terminal or critical illness, kids in foster. We have a group that brings young people who are at risk of or have been through sex trafficking. And the Kingdom Zoo Wildlife Center is our facility. Wild Wishes is our program we do that through. We have granted, as of yesterday, 256 of those wishes to kids all around the nation, most of them in the Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma area. And we love it. I mean, it's, you know, if a kid goes through something horrible, like say something bad happens on March the 16th, 3/16, right? Mm-hmm. In their mind, life never gets better than the 15th.
Right.
This is just showing them that people love them, God loves them, and that great things can still happen in their life. When they come, it's like a birthday party. We find out what their favorite snacks are. We find out what their favorite animals are and the things they're into, and they get a big gift package. They get to come out and hang with us, and then their family, they can always come back. And we had a kid come back yesterday, actually. We haven't seen her in a year or two, but she got her advocate in that group to bring her back. And we love that. And then we've done things like where a kid wanted to meet like a specific animal. And giraffes have been like 3 of them. We've taken like 3 kids to meet giraffes. I got a picture on the wall here of a little girl petting a white lion cub that the facility let us meet. Another one holding a baby mountain lion. And then we've done Bigfoot expeditions. The third wish request was a Bigfoot expedition.
That's so cool.
And we pulled it off. No, it's one thing if you're going to do one of these things for kids, you're like, okay, we have our own animals. We know how that works. It works great. Or a kid wants to go meet. We just had a kid go do a black bear encounter at the Tyler Zoo. It's really awesome. It's set up. It's going to happen. But a freaking Bigfoot encounter, not encounter, but like expedition, because you want something to happen. You can't make something happen. And we get out to the Big Thicket National Preserve, and this was 12 years ago this year. And mind blowing. As soon as it got dark, I let out a whoop, and we had an answer back. It was way off, but it was I wasn't sure, but it was, the kid freaked out. I'm like, okay, whatever. He's having a good time. I said, I don't know what that is, buddy, but it answered us, right? We hung out. The kids actually found a mountain lion track, which is really rare to find in the thicket. And I told them when it got late, I said, guys, it's a long drive out. I'm going to stop at 3 spots and call, and then we're just going to go home. They're like, okay. They had a good time. And I was so tired. It's like 1 o'clock. I forgot about the third. My dad punched me in the shoulder. Hey, you said 3 stops. So I put my foot on the brakes. So I know it was a God thing. I pull over, get everybody out. And he had brought a family with him. So it was like best friend and their family and him. And I let out a whoop. And this thing couldn't have been 30 yards in there. It called out so loud. And I look around, and there's 3 people standing there. The rest are back in the vehicles. Me, the kid, and my dad. Mr. Chester's the coolest thing in my life. And the other families like texting me all week. Their paradigm had just been. So it was cool. It was awesome. We've done multiple of those now on different. We've always had something cool happen, a wood knock or something. And we give them tracks. We take plaster out with us if we find something. We cast other tracks. We teach them about conservation. And then we do these expeditions that we call higher calling wildlife. And it's our 6th year of doing them in Colorado this year. We're doing our 2nd year and doing Yellowstone, Grand Teton. We did Smoky Mountains last year, done the Everglades before, all around Texas. And that's more of like an expedition part of it, to go to awesome places and like go photograph awesome wildlife. And it's just about inspiring kids that are going through bad stuff. And because the world's so negative, and we want them to see great things in their life. And that's the important stuff I do right there.
Well, and it's the memory. And it's like we talked about a couple shows ago, or the last show ago, I don't remember. When you go out into the wilderness, you're with your friends, it's the camaraderie, you're hanging out. You're not always going to experience anything.
Sure.
But you're going to have that experience with your friends, and you're going to be able to acquire that memory and hold on to that forever.
Yeah. And it's a lot better when we take them and we put them 20 foot from a bull moose from a safe position. They're getting photos of it, So we always scout it out and get them. We got kind of Colorado. We kind of got it down in Colorado, the area we go to. We kind of know where to find what. And it's a pretty special thing to see the kids. We actually, on my YouTube channel, we have a documentary. We have 2 of them on there. One of them's called Higher Calling Wildlife, the elevation of the calling wildlife, Hope in Yellowstone. And that shows you exactly what we're doing out there.
I'm so glad that you do that. I mean, because it's like you said, the world is so negative. So to have them experience something, and I love animals, and most children do, but when you have these exotic animals right in front of your face, and you either, like you said with the cubs, you get to hold them, or, it's a whole new level.
Yeah. And I love when I shut that gate behind them here and I go, public's not allowed. It's for you.
That's right. Because they feel special.
Sure. And it's true. I don't like the public enough to let them in, so like.
We have enough animals in here. We don't need you.
I'm like, come on, man. I want the kids to be able to enjoy it. And they do. So if wants to help with that, you can donate tax deductible. Go to kingdomzoo.com. It's got the information on there. And we don't get a salary from it. It all goes right back into what we're doing, so there's a lot of things going on. We have 8 young ladies from a foster group home coming here and pretty soon, and we're excited. We're really excited about that because we visited with them a couple of times. And excited about having them here and stuff like that. So
That's awesome. So what was it that inspired you to do this? I mean, I think it's great.
well, thank you.
I think that God's positioned you correctly. I think this is where you belong.
We were already me and my wife before we had even given our life to Christ 22 years ago. We had we love kids. We just always loved kids, and we were serving in our churches 15 years ago. Where we started 16 years ago. We're serving in our children's department of our kids' church and just helping out. And the children's pastor said, "Hey, could you bring a snake or something for a lesson?" And I never had exotic animal pets, but I was always catching stuff. So I caught a couple of water snakes and a ribbon snake and a hog nose and brought them up. And then the next month, she's like, "Can you go catch something else?" So I brought a common snapper. But so what really inspired to go deep on this was I'm walking down the hallway there at church, and the Holy Spirit tells me to ask this little girl what her favorite animal is and take her to meet it. And I knew she had lost her daddy. And so I was like, "Hey, Nayeli, what's your favorite animal?" She goes, "A zebra." I'm like, "Do you want to meet one?" She goes, "Is that possible?" I said, "It will be." So that was the first of 256 kids. And that really was. And then immediately another kid who had cancer came into our periphery, and we did a wolf encounter with him. And then the Bigfoot was the next. We did 3 wishes the first year, I think 9 the next year, and then 25 the next year. And then here we are, but that was the inspiration behind it. And just love kids, hate what happens to them. And we know animal and wildlife encounters are special. So we try to link the two the best we can.
That's really cool. And I'm so thankful that you and your wife and your beautiful daughter, Faith, she gets to see her parents be a part of that. And so you continue on that legacy with her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She just, she's gotten into photography with me some and just won 3 more regional awards, superior ratings of an invitation to go to nationals with wildlife photography. So we'll be doing that here soon. And she's driving me nuts. 2 days later, she thinks we already have the funds raised. And, kid. But no, I'm real proud of her. She's an awesome kid. And funny thing in the Bigfoot stuff, she'd always go, "There's no Bigfoot." She's like, she just tell me that her whole life. There's no Bigfoot. And then one night I asked her to come out. I kind of made her go out with me. I'm like, "Just gonna come with me tonight, kid. Just out to off this road, and we'll take the thermal out and whatever." And then we were there 20 minutes, and she wasn't too happy with it being dark or there being bugs, And had the thermal on, these 2 deer walked out in the clearing. I said, "You want to see these deer?" And she looked at the deer. She goes, "So if this thing's real and it walks out, I'm going to see it like that?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm out." She went and sat in the car. So
bless her heart.
That's my girl right there. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Chester, you talked about all these land animals. You don't just stick to the land, right? There's something going on with some sharks.
Yeah, you can see my love of sharks behind me. That's my Guy Harvey print of an oceanic white tip. And then I've had this great white statue forever. Got a great white right here. It's been on me forever.
Yeah.
So I was the kid who saw Jaws and wanted to get in the water. So, and my dad talks about wade fishing at the beach. I was too young to see it in cinema. My dad saw it on TV, but my dad was like, he saw it in the cinema. He said he used to wade fish and get up to here at the beach and cast as far as he could in the surf in the Gulf. And then Jaws, it was the knees only, as far as he would go, And I was
real quick. Fun fact: my mom and dad's first date was to see Jaws.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Go ahead.
I have something that's kind of a cool thing for that because I'm working on a documentary that will be released here June 21st called Gulf Great White Sharks, Return of an Icon. And it will be released, and we're doing a premiere at the Museum of the Gulf Coast in Port Arthur, Texas on the 50th anniversary to the date of Jaws release.
Amazing.
Great.
How cool is that?
And so you can go to my blog and please subscribe to that, gulfgreatwhites.com. That's gulfgreatwhites.com. Not just about the Gulf, but it's the blog of great white sharks returning to the Gulf of Mexico, which they are. And it also has a bunch of other stuff about other sharks in the Gulf and beyond. And yeah, this documentary I'm really excited about it. We finished filming it last Thursday. It took us from Texas to Cape Cod and other places. And it's going to be cool. And it's going to tell a story that's never been told like this. And the blog tells that I have a book that's coming out. And I think it's an important conservation story because great whites were knocked down to about 20% of their population levels. And they're starting to come back in a profound way and showing up in the Gulf. As I say in the trailer, the true apex predator of the Gulf of Mexico is not the hammerhead of the bull shark. It's Carcharodon carcharias, the great white shark. So, yeah, I'm excited.
That's right. Yeah. And
Now,
I'm glad.
have you got to experience them personally, like swim with them or like?
Oh yeah. You got to realize I'm extremely goal oriented, and when I saw Jaws, I'm like, whatever that cage thing is, I'm gonna have to do that one day. Mm-hmm. And then I watched Jacques Cousteau ocean specials, and that really messed me up because I'm like, dude, there are people who try to like help the ocean and stuff, and sharks. What? And then there's a book that I have. I don't know if you can see it. It's back here, Dangerous Sea Creatures. And that's another thing. And if you don't see me wearing this, it's always a black beanie. My beanie is worn in honor of Cousteau because he always had the red beanie. But he's a cool French guy, and I couldn't pull off the red beanie thing. So I'm more of a metal dude. So the black's more my vibe. But yeah, I got to cage dive with whites when I was 25 years old in the Farallon Islands off the coast of California. And it was pretty incredible. Pretty incredible.
I would love to do that because I went to school and graduated with my criminal justice degree, but what I should have done is went to school for marine biology because the ocean is where my heart is. I mean,
well, and I salute you for that. The ocean is it's a beautiful thing, and the Gulf always gets. Only time you ever hear about the Gulf in media is a hurricane or an oil spill, and this is a way to bring light to the good things that are happening. And you know, it was a really interesting, inspiring moment. We went out there. If you want to hear the great white dive, I don't know how much time we have, but
you're good.
This is a story worth telling because it's got everything you can imagine in this story. So there are 5 of us that pay on this go this trip to go encounter great whites in the Farallon Islands off the coast of San Francisco. They're about 26 miles out. And if that was 26 miles out of Sabine Pass and there were great whites, I'd be there every weekend. I could get out there, you know. But 26 miles out. We go out there, and it's a couple from Las Vegas on their honeymoon, 2 brothers from the Bronx, okay, and me. And I'm already looking at the cage going, hey, only 2 people can get in that cage at a time. I'm going to get messed over because I'm by myself, right? So they put the cage in the water, and it's really rough. We go on the protected side of the island, but it's still pretty rough. And, you know, the water was like 52, 53 degrees, super cold. We had really thick wetsuits on. Make sure we didn't freak out in the cold water. And I faked it really good and come back out. I'm fine, you know. And so I said, hey, man, I've caught hundreds of sharks on rod and reel. I don't mind getting my hand through it. I can help you chum, you know, put oil and fish blood in the water. And then, sir, we can't chum. It's illegal. It might attract sharks to people. I said, that's why I paid you $500.
That's why I'm in the cage, man.
What do you think we're here for? And he goes, it's illegal. And I went, he goes, but we have bait. I said, oh, semantics. So I'm figuring, he goes, in the back, there's a boxer's bait. Go look. And I thought I'm going to pull a tuna or something out, and we're going to hang a tuna overboard. And it's a yellow and red surfboard. It's a picture of me somewhere on my Instagram, me holding this thing. I said, it's just a surfboard. He goes, that's the bait. We're going to pull it slow. The silhouette looks like a seal, and the shark may attack it and come up. I said, hold up. I know y'all think we're slow because we're from Texas. I'm from Texas. But you can't put fish oil in the water, which sharks are naturally attracted to. We can coach them to hit a surfboard. And he's like, yes. And I said, did you go to Berkeley? And he goes, I'm asking this. He goes, how did you know? I said, just a guess. So I thought I'm getting scammed. And we pull for 3 hours and we see nothing of it. And we just smell seal poop from the island. Finally, the water calmed down enough. We went on the other side, and it's a moment I'll never forget. I'm eating a Lay's potato chip, and I'm looking in about 10 yards behind the boat is this surfboard, and a 15-foot great white comes up and goes, hits the surfboard, does a 360.
Mm.
Before it hits the water, a second one comes up and sideswiped it.
No.
Oh, hell no. Hell
Oh
And I
my
go-
God, that would be
And
so
I go,
cool.
this is the greatest moment of my life.
I would
And
have
the
been
guy,
saying the same
and the
thing.
guy behind me goes, we're going to need a bigger boat. I mean, literally, he said it to us. So they're putting the surfboard, they're putting the
awesome.
cage in the water. I don't know nothing about welding, but I'm like looking at welds and stuff. You know, I'm like, this thing's good. Put it down in the water. And the guy from the couple comes up, pulls me aside. Chester, my wife's feeling kind of seasick. And I can't go in without her. I'm like, sweet, one down. And the brothers come over together. Yo, man, it's like, they were like giving me this whole spiel in these really thick Italian Bronx accents. And they were like, the wetsuits are not quite adequate for the water situation. We're going to watch from up top. So I was the only one to go in.
Wow.
And it wasn't because I was so brave, but I'm standing here and going, if I don't get in, I'm turning my back on my dream.
Exactly.
And I was scared. I mean, I just saw two.
Yeah.
Those probably weighed 5,000 pounds combined sharks. I get in that cage, and this ain't like the Caribbean. I could see about 12, maybe 15 feet. That's it. That's it. So I'm under the water, and it's snuba, so I can breathe from up top.
Mhm.
Have tanks and change and, you know, all that and stuff. So I had this is right before I could afford a digital underwater camera. They were still thousands of dollars. I had a print film, 36 shots. And I'm waiting. I'm like, I'm going to get that sucker when he comes up. I'm ready to rock. I'm going, oh my God, I'm insane. What am I doing down here? You know? And it's rough. And they're pulling the surfboard for bait, like to pull it to attract the shark. And it gets caught on the cage.
Oh no.
I'm like, here we go. This is the moment.
This is how I die.
So I swim up and help them get it off. Whatever. And all of a sudden, these little fish and a squid came up by the cage. I'm like, well, I get a picture of these dudes. Got a couple pictures, hung out, and they're kind of swimming around, kind of going to the current. And then they went.
They knew.
Now, I don't know how they did it. I'm still convinced someone pumped the Jaws theme down there. In my mind, I'm hearing dun dun. And it got to that, and somebody dies when that happens in a movie. I'm hearing that, and then I look below me, and there's this dark shape kicking silt up below the cage.
Oh wow.
I just see this massive dark shape moving through the shadows below the cage. Hangs around a few minutes, disappears, comes back, and kind of kicks silt up a little bit. And I'm like, whoa. By this point, I'm literally about to die of hypothermia. I'm so cold. I signal to get out. I get out. They pull the cage up, hand me a hot chocolate, and the surfboard's still out there. They crank the motor. Within 5 seconds, an 18-foot great white come up and hit the surfboard. I got a picture of me. The picture of Instagram is me holding the board after the 18-footer hit. He had a bite mark made. It's about like this.
Oh
and
my
when he
goodness.
came out of the water, he had some hang time, and his eye looked at. He went boom, like his eye turned a little bit. Everybody went, look at the eye. And it was awesome. Now they're pulling that shark cage up. I'm like, I'm the only one that went in there and risked my dang life. If there's a tooth, it's mine. I'm like, you know,
Exactly.
please have a tooth. No tooth. But there was great white slobber, so I got to feel literally great white slobber covering the board. Who'd have thunk? But it was incredible, and that was a big inspirational thing for me. So please go to gulfgreatwhites.com, subscribe to my blog, and great things are coming. We're going to be doing some really special shark conservation awareness stuff. Also, if you know of a kid going through stuff that loves sharks, message me. We want to send them a shark conservation educational package with books and a shark tooth necklace and all kind of cool stuff.
Awesome. Very awesome.
Well, Chester, I want to thank you for giving me another fucking example of stuff that I will never experience in my life.
Don't be a chicken for a shark, man. It's a shark. Look.
I mean, that would be awesome. I think I would get into the cage. I do. I
I'd
really
love
do.
to go back and do it. You know, I would love to go back. I want to go somewhere you can chum them, though. I want to see more than, you know, there's a place called Isla de Guadalupe off the coast of Mexico. But currently, Chester Moore does not travel south of the border with current organized crime elements operating down that direction. I don't
I'm
travel.
telling you, man.
But it would be amazing. And so I would love to go do it in Australia or South Africa or wherever, you know. I'm in. But
yeah,
main thing is new documentary coming out here in a very short while.
That's
All right, we're going to give you a chance to talk about all of that here in just a minute, but we do have a few questions for you.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start with my buddy Troy. What about the Bigfoot that reached into a deer blind? Where and when did that occur?
The story that I've told is a feral monkey reaching into a deer blind.
Okay.
That happened in South Texas, about an hour south of San Antonio. That's actually the opening story on my Dark Outdoors podcast episode that dropped today. So the whole story is in that. So there's that one. And it's, that was, what's interesting about those monkeys is that they're from Japan near Mount Fuji, and they're living in an area and proliferating where it's 100 degrees about 60 days a year. Pretty amazing.
Damn. All right, another one from my buddy Troy. Compared to the call of the howler monkey, how far would the sound you heard carry through the woods? How large would you think the creature that made it was?
If I'd never seen a howler monkey, I would have thought Kong was out there. If I didn't know what a howler monkey looked like. So it's hard to judge that, but I can tell you what we heard in 2000, not when I was a kid, but the one in 2000 was no further than like 40 yards away, because we heard it when it slipped into the brush on the open part, and that was on the other side of this old broken down cabin. And it sounded very large. I mean, it sounded really large, and it would carry a long way. I mean, there's no doubt someone that night, if it was a still night, so someone a quarter mile down the road would have heard that thing.
Awesome. All right, Joe Pat, do you think there is anything paranormal to Bigfoot?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. I don't pursue that part of it. I've never seen it, but maybe. I don't know. There could be definitely something extra, but I'm just not sure.
All right, this is a great question, I think, from Troy. Do you have any programs for military families or children of fallen soldiers?
So our mission is to bring the love of Christ to hurting children through wildlife encounters. And it doesn't really matter to us what it is they're hurting from. We'll do it for anything. We are about to put some language out in some of our brochures and things, just nudging people to remind that we would love to do things for like families of people dealing with PTSD from the military. Because we've had that just come to us. I thought maybe if we mention it, maybe more families would reach out. But certainly, we've had 2 different families come because of suicides of veterans. Yeah, we'd love to do something for those families. Absolutely, we have, and we will continue.
Awesome, very, very cool. All right, Troy, have you heard about the great white that was caught in the Gulf of Alabama?
Hey, Troy, thank you. And yes, at gulfgreatwhites.com, I have a anecdote. I don't put the satellite tag data because I already have a place to do that. But any anecdotal reports of great whites, I'm putting up on there. And when we're off this podcast, I'm putting that report. I have a couple of reports from Alabama on there. So every Gulf state going back to 1937, I've got anecdotal reports from.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gulfgreatwhites.com. I saw it on there. So that was Great Whites Gulf or something. Anyway.
My bad.
No problem. Surprised
Rest.
I caught that. Anyway.
No question, but God bless to you and your wife for all you do, Chester. I second that, buddy.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but we love it, and we love the kids. And that's the one thing that, people obviously can fool kids, and people do it all the time and do horrible things, but you don't fool them for long, and they'll figure it out. And if we get anything else wrong, I think we got the part we actually love the kids right. We got that part right because our motives are pure. We love kiddos, and I think that's why it works so well, is because they know we love them. And I haven't grown up. I mean, my interests are exactly the same as when I was like 6. So, I like monster movies, great white sharks, metal, wrestling, hunting and fishing and wildlife. I mean, I'm the same dude as I was back then,
Good on you, dude. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And you guys go to Amazon.com. This man has 15 books, right?
Yeah, I mean, not all of them on Amazon, but I've got a few of them on Amazon, and I've got a whole slew of books I did for like special projects that we're going to be re-releasing soon as well. We'll have information up at highercalling.net and chestermore.com on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I have all your links, and I'll give Wayne all your links here.
Thank
and
you.
You're welcome. And I did change that to golfgreatwhites.com. So, but we'll put all this on the podcast when it comes out.
We absolutely will. But before we get there, Chester, take a second or however long it takes, buddy, and just tell everybody where they can find you.
All right. Like I said, that's a loaded question. A lot of places. Please add me on Instagram at the Chester Moore, The Chester Moore on Instagram. Dark Outdoors, the podcast. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're on there. So that's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, wherever, we're on there. And my blog at highercalling.net and golfgreatwhites.com. Plus, I do a little narration for the Wild Man of the Woods Bigfoot series. So when you see the shows on Wild Man of the Woods, I'm the one doing the narration.
Sweet. And like Tiffany said, we take all of that, all of the links, and we add them to the show notes.
You guys are awesome.
Because we take all of the audio from these shows, we upload them to podcast where we have a much, much bigger audience. So maybe we can reach a few more people for you.
Hey, it's always appreciated. I want to salute you guys I'm like a wild bronco or something when I start talking about this stuff. So you've got to just let me rip. I thank you. And just want to salute you for asking questions about the kids' work, because a lot of times people just kind of gloss over that. And
oh no, it's the most important thing.
And I appreciate
we love the kiddos here, man.
I appreciate that. So thank and tell your heart for kids, and I salute both of you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you again for coming on, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Absolutely. God bless you guys, and thanks everybody for listening tonight.
Thank you, Chester.
Bye. All right.
Amazing. I knew that would be a good one. And they always go by so fast.
Yeah, the good ones do. We've talked about that a million times.
What's your favorite shark?
Probably the great white.
I like the Mako. They suckers are quick.
I really couldn't tell you a whole lot. I mean, the hammerhead kind of sticks out because of the unique head, but I don't know. I'm not a real big shark guy.
Oh, well, see, I'm all about some sharks and Shark Week, and my DVR is like full of the Shark Week shows. Yep.
All right. Well, what else we got coming up, ma'am?
What do we have coming up? Let's see.
Well, Friday. You want to talk about Friday?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
Friday, instead of a members only, Tiffany and I have a special announcement. Big news coming for the show. So you guys tune in Friday, 9 p.m. and we will talk about it. And then what do we have Saturday?
Hold on, and I'll tell you. Let me look at my nifty little show calendar because I got way too much going up here in my brain. We have Craig Finley, part 2.
Yeah,
So
those were the guys from the Penn, Ohio Cryptid Research. Yeah, they were really cool. So yeah, we got them for a part 2. But again, guys, make sure you tune in Friday because
9 p.m. 8 Central.
Yeah, on Friday, because we have a really, really big announcement. Big, as far as this show goes, big announcement. All right. You got anything else, ma'am?
I don't think so. Just thank you always for coming and being so supportive and respectful to our guests.
Respectful.
And amazing. And do consider joining that $199 membership
That'd be great.
Yeah, you can come in Discord and recommend guests to us just like Crystal does. And it's really helpful. And they're always killer. So, yeah.
Always. All right. Again, guys, we will see you Friday for, I don't know how long we'll go. There's no guests lined up. It'll just be me and Tiffany, but I don't know. We'll get into some stuff. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for everything, all the support, all of the super stickers, the members, the Venmo, Cash App, everything. We love you. We thank you. Until we talk to you again, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.